yet to delve into the genetic analysis vis-a-vis the families whose DNA we took the last time around. And then based on that, we'll be able to draw a conclusion.
So the police told us that we should expect some results in 4 weeks. How close are we?
So we are close. The analysis will be completed very soon. We are close, very close.
So if it turns out to be a no, that the DNA do not match or does not match the alleged surviving relatives, what happens?
Yeah, so if it's a no, well, straight away go back to investigations. How come those remains were found there? The police will have to unravel whatever has gone on.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it basically goes back to the investigations to figure out what really happened. How come they were found? I believe in what we have done. We have competent men, officers, who are more than capable of doing cases like this. I just hope that whichever way it turns out, you know, just as Dr. Introdanso said, the whole nation accepts it, and then we take it up from there. But I've already indicated there's a chance of a second opinion. If anybody wants to, you can always verify that, because these results are reproducible, because the exhibits are still there. So they have the benefit of that. But as I indicated, I believe in what we have done. We have done the meticulous work.
Right.
We have checked and double-checked.
And you're still
double-checking. We just want to be sure so that when we finally arrive at the results, then we know that we've done a yeoman's job.
So that was Superintendent Dr. Kofi Efrifa speaking there to Israel Lai. Superintendent Dr. Kofi Efrifa speaking there to Israel Lai on Ghana Police Watch. But this was a few weeks ago, actually, before the DNA results came out, like I told you earlier. So we are still in touch with the police. We are trying to get that final confirmation to see if they still stand by this position or if they would not release the samples to the family members of the 3 missing Takoradi girls who have now been confirmed dead by the police for them to carry out their own tests. Let's hear from the family members themselves now, and my colleague Kojo Yangson has been speaking to them.
But I'm a one I'm into. There's a more can or no. Tammy, it's in the basin, no, Yanoko.
Incidemina,
I mean, that's a man who I watch him and argue.
It's engines there. Why a DNA test? Engines is there.
The same thing there. DNA test now. I heard about a young who don't pay. No young who test and so report obey. No, I don't know what about kind. No, and Thomas or 1 million.
So a quick translation. Mr. Bentum is saying that last night at about 20 minutes past 7, he had visitors, police officers who said they were from Accra. And their message was that the tests have been done, the girls are dead. And he said, of course, as far as he's aware, that is not the right way of imparting such tragic news. They're saying is that there are several reasons why they don't believe in the accounts of the police. They say that Madam Tiwa, who is the CID boss, spoke to the mother of Ruth Lovequason personally and said to her that they know exactly where the girls are by the grace of God, and that the kidnappers are demanding large sums of money. And so they need the family members to be quiet, not to speak to the press, so that the kidnappers are not agitated to the point where they will harm the girls. This is what, according to Ruth Lovequason's mother, the CID boss said. And for that reason, they cannot reconcile that with the discovery of bones just in a matter of weeks after the CID boss said this to them over the phone. They are also very unhappy with the way in which the news was broken to them. I have actually been speaking to the grandfather of the first victim, Ruth Abeka. Now, her grandfather tells us that up till now, nobody from the police has been to them to officially inform them of the findings of the DNA test. Nobody has been to their home. They found out about it last night on Joy News when they were watching TV. So they are very unhappy with the way the information has been communicated. We are also learning that the Quaysons refused to speak to the president when he called them on the phone to commiserate with them following the press conference. But they are not the only ones reacting. Here in Diabene, members of the community are furious. Some of them are threatening violence against Nigerians in the community. I want to speak to one of them and find out why that is their proposed way forward. Tell us your name.
My name is Owusu.
Owusu, I heard you earlier talking about what you want to do to Nigerians. Tell me again, what do you want to do?
You see, not necessarily what you want to do to Nigerians, but we just want to send a question to the so-called leaders of this country. You see, it's unfortunate that such incident happens to a family member of us. And it's like every day on, it's like people are telling us stories. It's unfortunate, but what we, the youth here, are saying is that, you see, when an issue happened to people at South Africa, we know how Nigerian people reacted. Not that we can react to other Nigerians who are in this country. As I'm saying, we know where they are staying. We know where most of them are working. Most of them are also our friends. You see, we can also do the same thing to them. But because Ghana is a peaceful country, because of that, it's like nobody wants to trying to do something bad to defame the country.
If it's better, I will advise that most of the Nigerians who stays around this vicinity are relocated to other parts of this country.
Why?
The reason being that the kind of pain and anguish or the agony that the youth here are going through, and then the kind of anger with which they speak, I would not be surprised that any moment from now, they might retaliate. They were just waiting for a confirmation that it's true that the children were actually dead. And now it's confirmed. And so when we come down here to play football and stuff, you hear comments of retaliation. So I'll be glad if we get our leaders to take out the Nigerians from this vicinity, maybe to a different region, or either they are asked to, because they will not publicly come and call you, but something might happen behind the scene.
Kojo Yankton speaking to the family members of two of these girls who have now been declared dead by the police.
I know we love to hit the road and laugh,
but they have some specific demands. As you heard one of them say, he says that he never saw these remains that were recovered from the home of Samuel Udo Tekwils, the main suspect in the case. He also says he didn't see the DNA results himself. All he heard was this announcement that was made. So he does not believe it. Yes, this is a position that is shared by most of the family members. And so we'll be perusing these views a bit more. We'll be speaking to criminologist Professor Ken Attefuah. He'll be joining us shortly after this. Stay with us.
Welcome to 21st Century Service Provision. Need to pay your ward school fees?
Thanks, Daddy.
Want to flex that girl?
Wow, he's so cool.
Grandma needs airtime to fill me in on all the village filler.
Hey, me be a guy.
Or you're just tired of having to hop from app to shortcodes to website and back. Welcome to the new phase of buying, selling, and connecting with customers. Welcome to convenience and technology. Welcome to My GH Pay, myghpay.com. Make or receive payments online from anywhere using a Visa card, MasterCard, GH Link card, or your mobile money wallet. Businesses, associations, institutions can get listed for free today and enjoy a new world of convenience. Download My GH Pay for free from Play Store and App Store. myghpay.com. Buy, sell, and connect. The platform for everyone.
I believe that I can be all of the best. What if I do? Guaranteed to take the lead.
Ma, please give me your phone. Let me make a quick call.
So you're still on that network that gives you fair data and talk time, where Vodafone has double the Red 1, Red 2, and Red 5 offers. For 5 CDs, Chikra. You get 250 minutes to call all networks, 250 megabytes data, and more.
I'm moving to Vodafone today.
Switch to Vodafone to enjoy double Intuswar on red bundles of 1, 2, and 5 CDs. Enjoy double talk minutes to call all networks and double data to browse. Vodafone always gives you more. Dial star 200 hash to subscribe now. Terms and conditions apply.
The future is exciting. Ready? Comfort, durability, finishing, quality. Choosing sofas and beds for your home, office, or hotel couldn't be easier with an exclusive range of sofas and beds in various designs and colors from Latex Foam. There is so much choice, whatever your budget. Latex Foam, your partner for life.
Charlie, where are you?
Boss man, I'm at the bank.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Walwale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Masa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store, or dial star 770 hash and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
Enjoy fast, affordable, and dependable 4G service in Accra and Tema, in your office, home, or on the go. Contact Telesol today on 0302 221 658 or 9 or 0303 975 342 or more, or our website telesol4g.com, or send us an email through enquiry@telesol4g.com. Telesol 4G, just a touch.
Super Morning Show.
It's 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Thanks for staying with us. This is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. We are soon speaking to Prof. Ken Attefuah. He is a criminologist. He'll be giving us his views on what we've heard so far, the myriad of issues coming out of Takoradi, specifically after the police IGP announced that the remains that were found at the home of Samuel Odotek Wills indeed belong to the 4 missing Takoradi girls. The family say they want another DNA test. Are those claims legitimate? Let's ask Professor Ken Attefuah. Good morning, Prof. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning, Daniel, and I greet your listeners well.
Prof, so do you think that it is in order for the family to make such a demand?
Well, thank you very much. First, let me express my heartfelt condolences to the families that are grieving, whether it is truly the case that their loved ones are deceased, or because of the circumstances following the obvious established facts of their kidnapping. These are difficult and painful times for everyone involved. But second, and to the point, ordinarily, it should not be the case that the outcomes of police investigative or forensic results, their investigation, gets questioned in this manner. It is not uncommon for such questioning to happen in the US and in the UK and Canada, in the far more advanced democracies with well-established scientific policing traditions. Citizens and sometimes whole communities have had occasion to question the scientificity of forensic outcomes, either because they think that their results have been vitiated by fraud, by improper considerations such as racism or sexism, or a desire to conceal some material fact. So as a phenomenon, it is not unusual or uncommon. What is worrisome in this case is that it is not based on the usual parameters for discontent and disagreement. In this particular case, I think the discontent arises from what are obviously avoidable or seemingly avoidable gaps or gaps in the police handling of the matter. If you listen to what the Bentum family is saying, I mean, these are all three families that are in apparent denial. The claim is that they are questioning the scientific method, and that derives from the idea that they didn't see the bones. So it's about verification. Then they also didn't see the DNA results. It is about transparency. And then there is also the overarching issue of inconsistent and contradictory messages communicated by the director of CID and other police personnel in this whole series of saga. And then, of course, we have the apparently false but firm assurances of the girls having been found, as articulated by the Ruth Abeka family. They are also concerned, obviously, about the lack of official communication. And then the Quaison family also being umbraged by the refuse and therefore refusing to even speak to His Excellency the President. All of these are not matters. These concerns are not matters that go to the core of the scientificity of the forensic exam that has been done. These are peripheral issues. They are the sociological or the social aspects of the handling of the issue, not the science of it. The key thing is that verification and replication are two cardinal principles of science. And as Superintendent Dr. Kofi Afrifa indicated, the police ought to be willing, in the circumstances, they ought to be willing to have a second look taken at the science that they have done. The empirical basis of their conclusions are there. The bones have not disappeared. Whatever forensic material, hair samples or whatever tissues they may have are still there, and samples of it can be made available to an independent scientific researcher for purposes of verification or replication. However, it would ordinarily not be necessary. I would think that the results would probably affirm what the police have said. But out of the abundance of caution and in the abundance of transparency and openness, it behooves the police to make the basis of their conclusions available, and even samples of the material that is subjected to forensic examination available to third parties. It will rather deepen the process of trust. This is an instance of broken trust. It reflects limited public confidence, or at least community confidence in police scientific methods and police outcomes. I have faith in the science that the police establishment is capable of producing. I would have no reasonable basis to doubt that, to think that the police will play some hanky-panky, do some false or fraudulent gaming with this very serious matter. But these are grieving families. They need to have the matter established beyond doubt, reasonable doubt. I don't think that the doubts that have been expressed to date are reasonable. But to the extent that it is important to them, that they are so distressed by it, I think it is important that the police make that available to them. There is an ancient Russian proverb that says, trust but verify. I think that the police can make the basis of their conclusions available for purposes of verification.
So, Prof, if I understand what you're saying, because the family expressed their concerns the way they did, their doubts may not be reasonable?
No, it's not because of the manner. It is because of the basis. The manner, from what I listened when you played it out, in fact, these were calm voices. They are obviously angry, but the manner, the mode of communication wasn't unlike what happened in a video I listened to on your thing yesterday, where youth were really upset and using very coarse, foul, inappropriate language and threatening mayhem and promising to do all kinds of lawless acts in breach of public safety. These voices you played this morning were calm. They conveyed pain and anguish. But it is not the manner. It is the basis. Their basis is simply that we did not see the bones. Their basis is that we didn't see the DNA results. These are not sufficient basis for questioning the scientificity of it. But be that as it may, once they raise it, and once they are grieving, and once the police have nothing to hide, or if they have nothing to hide, whilst this is, I think, scientific, ordinarily, while this would be unnecessary, this matter has assumed extreme high tension emotion, and there is high politicality. It is a volatile matter, and we even appear to be living in volatile times. It is important in these circumstances that the police makes the foundations of their conclusions available for verification or replication. And I think that will put shut to the matter, even though it would have otherwise been unnecessary. And I think that it also dovetails into the issues that the youth were raising, the youth of the Abene, the reactions towards Nigerians, and the use of the language, so-called leaders of this country. We have to be careful not to undermine the very fabric of our society. I said yesterday elsewhere that this nation is a nation in grief. These are extremely tragic moments in the history of this country. These young women have been plucked not out of their families and the hearts of those that they loved, but also from the society at large. I think it's a moment for national mourning. It is a serious matter we need to take seriously. It's a matter that calls for community healing beyond even the family and individual healing. And that is what is articulated by the youth.
Okay.
But the reprisal attacks ought to be averted. It is important to acknowledge the potential reality. And this has been articulated by the person who spoke, that retaliation is highly probable. And even there is a call for Nigerians in the community to be relocated to other parts of the country in order to avert harm to them. That should not be necessary. I think our community leaders ought to work actively and quickly with the youth. I think we need to attenuate their anger. We need to abate it. We need to let them see the positive side of conflict management and how that can be an effective tool to reducing tension and fostering peace and harmony and making ourselves the best example. The youth leader, talked about Ghana being a peaceful country. We can ride on that and do better. We have not done better in the past. The report of the National Reconciliation Commission is replete with recommendations on how to deal with the crisis of our youth, the burgeoning youth unemployment, the anger that is very fundamental and all over, and their vulnerability to induction into all kinds of criminal activities. We need to deal with these, and most importantly, also establish in every district of this country, in every region, a formidable psychosocial counseling department at every hospital, so that this country, which is bedeviled by high rates of automobile accidents, Ghana, Nigeria, and Mexico have in the world the highest automobile accident rates for a very long time, more than 20 years. We need to, and we kill more people on our roads than perhaps people die from HIV/AIDS. We need to, and people grieve. We need to establish proper mechanisms for helping those who lose loved ones in tragic circumstances to cope with those pains. And this is one instance that we should seize upon as a nation to make the slogan that we too often use, Nunca Mea, never again, come to reality, that these kinds of things should not happen again. And if they do, that there are effective mechanisms led by people like Dr. Araba Sefa Dede and Mr. Ukubekwe and Reverend Dr. Ayite Nyampong, people who are experts in their field, who headed the processes at the National Reconciliation Commission, who are there and who can assist, and many, many others. And we need to make this a part of our university education all around, that we have a strong cohort of well-educated and willing citizens who are psychosocial counselors willing to be located into different communities so that Diabene will have people ready and available, not to be flown from Accra, but to be readily available in the communities who are connected to community dynamics to help in community healing. This is a clarion call that is triggered by the very tragic circumstances facing our dear nation.
Now, Prof, in May of this year, you expressed quite an interesting view, and you said that you suspect the 3 kidnapped Takoradi girls may be dead or trafficked outside Ghana. So even before the DNA test results came out, you suspected that they were dead. How did you arrive at that suspicion?
Well, Daniel, from a criminological standpoint, there didn't appear to be any reasonable basis for me to believe that they were alive or in the country. And that has to be juxtaposed against the statement attributed to and later confirmed to have come from the director CID. You have to understand the sociology or the social psychology of the kidnappers. And pardon my language, but they see these as cargoes. That they are victims that they kidnap. They are cargoes. They are an instrument to the kidnappers' financial gratification. And of course, sexual gratification may be a transient part of their game plan. But ultimately, this is about money, and it's about big money. You have to look whether these girls, what is the socioeconomic status of the kidnapped girls' families? Because big money is what they want, not some 2,000 cities or whatever, unless, of course, they are idiotic, amateur kidnappers. So you look at their circumstances, and then you look at the duration. Now, if somebody had been kidnapped in December or in November 2018, and you are talking May 2020, surely the kidnapper doesn't want to bear the burden of harboring cargo for so long because of all the risks that attend it. The victim can escape, and that will bring dire consequences to the kidnapper. The victim may snitch, find a crafty way of leaking information that would, will not inure to the benefit of the kidnapper. The victim may die, and then that would mean having to handling dead cargo. The victim may be freed, and that would mean that they are walking straight to jail or straight to death. All of these are not options that kidnappers, who are, by the way, purposeful actors, they engage in a cost-benefit analysis in much the same way that professional armed robbers, career criminals, also plan their activities. So the risk to them of harboring such persons for long, beyond a week or 2 or 3, is too much. And you have to look at the profile of their demands. What are they demanding? What is the frequency? How are they negotiating? And with what degree of seriousness? All of these will tell you whether these are people who are keeping their cargo on them or have transported them. I suspected that if the girls were a burden to them, that they would have disposed of them. And the disposition would be through one of 2 methods. One would be to just derive sexual pleasure from them and kill them, unfortunately, or after deriving as much sexual pleasure from them, traffic them. Trafficking them outside the country would be an effective way of disposing of them and making sure that they are so psychologically damaged as not to be able to link them to the perpetrators. And I think this is the general pattern. The 48 hours after the disappearance of the victim is most critical. And if as a society we are unable to discover that and to publish information about them and to publish information about their whereabouts and how they were last seen and all of that, then we are in trouble. When the National Reconciliation Commission exhumed the remains of people who had been buried in unmarked graves after 18 years of having been executed, the most telling forensic pieces of evidence that aided us in that identification of the victims was the clothes they last wore. And that meant we finding the last people who had last seen them talking to them and getting vivid descriptions of the shoe, the belt, the shirt, the hairstyle, and all of that these people sported 18 years earlier. And those are important. And so and therefore what I'm saying, Daniel, is that the immediacy value is paramount. And the longer, the more time elapses, the greater the propensity that the people will not be found, or that if they'll be found in a state that you do not want, either mentally damaged or physically damaged, i.e. killed. And these were the bases that informed my consideration. And quite frankly, I'm also still, like the families, holding out the faint hope that I'll be wrong and that these persons are alive. But speaking from a scientific, empirical basis, I have no reasonable basis at this point to think that they are alive. I would love to be proven wrong, because this is one time that scientists should hope to be proven wrong.
Well, the esteemed pathologist, Professor Jamambedo Akosa, was speaking on PM Express yesterday. He said that when it comes to these DNA tests, it would be right and it would be sound, actually, to conduct another test, if for nothing at all, for the purpose of cross-checking what has happened, and that it is actually in order, since you're speaking of scientific and empirical basis for establishing our claims.
Yes, Daniel, I agree with him 100%. That's what I said earlier about verification and replication. And I think that it will also help to assure the public, and especially the families, that all things that ought to be done have reasonably have been done. And that as a society, we have closed the chapter, that there are no loose ends hanging, that we've tied all the loose ends and we put shut or closure to the matter. And it's important for the healing of the families as well.
So
Professor Akosa is right sociologically and scientifically.
So what you're saying earlier brings to mind these points you raised. There was a lack of verification, lack of transparency, and inconsistency in communications, and at a point, even a lack of official communication in the first place, and that resulted in broken trust. Some people have pointed at specific persons within the Ghana Police Service whose heads should roll as a result of this litany of issues. Would you agree with those views?
Well, I mean, in this country, we are slow to do the needful by ourselves. Although I do recognize that there are circumstances where the public clamor is not based on empirical evidence. And so sometimes we call for the heads of people when there is no sound evidential basis for it. But where individuals themselves know that they have goofed, that they have, by their acts of omission or commission, generated a situation that is untenable, that undermines public confidence in the institutions that they lead, and that also have the potential to affect future dynamics and effectiveness of the institution, that they can do the honorable thing of not waiting to be fired, but to tender their resignation and to apologize in grace and exit the scene, so that pain is assuaged, confidence is assured, and innovation is triggered. I am not endorsing any specific call by any particular person, because I have frankly been too busy to follow the details of what is going on. I cannot ascribe a statement to anyone other than the clarion call I've heard in the media for Madam Attefuah to go. But I think this is one of those moments where people have to swallow their pride, where as much as you may think you have been misunderstood, or that the circumstances have not worked to your favor or have worked against you, that you do the honorable thing, you do the noble thing of saluting the state and taking a bow and a good exit.
And this is what you would expect of Madam Attefuah Dankwa, the COP, head of police CID.
Daniel, this is what I would expect of anyone who has been adversely implicated and who has reasonable basis to believe that they could have done better in the service of this country.
So would you expect Madam Attefuah Dankwa to resign?
Daniel, I think it is obvious what I have said. She's a lady, a very fine lady I know well. I call her my niece. I think this is one of those circumstances. If I had had the opportunity of speaking to the lady I call my niece, I would have advised her to please take a bow in dignity and step out.
Prof, but there is an element of this conversation which for me is very important. For a matter of months, we were looking for 4 girls and an unknown number of suspected criminals who may have kidnapped them. If we had a functioning national identification system and we knew where every Ghanaian was, according to the card that they carry, would we not have expedited this investigation much quickly?
Absolutely, Daniel. That is why President Kufuor started this initiative in 2006. That is why we should have continued. That is why we shouldn't, as a nation, have politicized it. That is why we shouldn't, as a nation, have starved the National Identification Authority of the financial the financial resources and the competent leadership that it required in order to succeed. And that is why I think His Excellency the President at this point and this nation, we as a people are all collectively galvanized in our resolve to make it succeed this time. You see, if we had the kind of national identification system that is now, the one that is being implemented since April 29th of 2019, one that is biometric, that has a chip embedded in it, that captures the biometrics, all 10 fingers, and the iris, and the digital address, and of course the facial of the person, and that locates every person where they are, and that also has the capacity. Your phone, your telephone, every single SIM card in circulation in this country would, when the system has been implemented, would have to be re-registered and ascribed to a particular person. And each time a call is made, it is traceable and trackable to a person and to a location. That the kidnapper or the suspected kidnapper, when he had placed a call to the family demanding ransom, that when this information is made available to the police can request the telco service provider, and the service provider can give you the details of the person. When the police stops you, the details of the person, as in biometrics and everything, as may be warranted by law. And if and when the police stops you and they take your Ghana card and they swipe it, all the requisite biometric data that they need will pop up instantly. We would ensure a much safer society, one that we allows us to track people in appropriate legal circumstances when they are deemed to have offended the law, on probable cause. But most importantly, Daniel, our law requires every foreigner resident in this country for 90 days or longer, or every permanent resident of this country who is not a diplomat or who is not an international non-governmental organization representative, to register with the National Identification Authority, to be issued with a non-citizen biometric ID card, which will have all the features that I have described, and which will then ensure the trackability, traceability that I have also described. It would ensure that every person would be known, whoever they are, wherever they live. And because all these foreigners who are living in our country, who have every right, those who have every right to live here, have also an obligation to register for the card and pay the compulsory fee of $120 as prescribed by law. Some of them choose or elect not to, and then try to register as Ghanaians or to avoid it completely. It is an issue of enforcement. We are dialoguing with the Ghana police and with the schools and the universities and with the landlords, households. Everyone has to assist us in enforcing the law so that all foreigners in this country register, not from a xenophobic perspective,
right,
but from a law enforcement compliance perspective, that they have an obligation to abide by the laws of our country. We have an obligation to assist in improving the scale of lawfulness in our society. And it is we Ghanaians who must police the boundaries of our citizenship and ensure compliance by foreigners with our lawful, with our legal regime. And
Now,
that will contribute to crime reduction as well.
Now, Prof, when you raised that, Governor from Adenta just sent me a message here saying that the banks are not accepting the Ghana cards because they say they don't have access to their system on the internet. Are you aware of this challenge?
Yes, I am. And every day, big people and people in big and low places, high and low places call, some write, and are very frustrated by the refusal of some banks. I think it's rather disingenuous because you see, there are 3 levels of verification. And at minimum, a bank that is accepting something like, and I say this with the greatest of respect, a bank that is accepting a voter ID card, a bank that is accepting a driver's license, a bank that is accepting NHIA card, ought to be more than 100% willing and ready to accept the far superior Ghana card, which has all those things, all those 3 things that the individual is presenting on the Ghana card already. There is a verification platform that the banks ought to procure. But you know something? We are in discussions with their regulator. Latest by October this year, the Bank of Ghana, I believe, would have issued the requisite instructions. They have engaged with the banks. We have engaged with the Association of the Bankers through the Bank of Ghana for them to accept that if it is law that they are requiring, the law already makes it compulsory for the Ghana card to be required wherever verification is to be, or identity is to be verified or established. The Ghana card shall, it is mandatory. And the banks have a duty to respect the law and to demand only the Ghana card. Now, they are not demanding the Ghana card. They are staying in their comfort zone, some of them, staying in the comfort zone and doing that which doesn't impel them to spend any money at this point. But that will end very soon. And there is also, in fairness to the banks, Daniel, because at the moment, we have issued 2.9 million cards. And this is something we've done, in just about a year. In fact, between 29th of May and now, we are now with 2.9 million. We have started, let's say, June 4th last year. That is far greater than what was done in 10 years, where just under about 900,000 cards were issued, which were not biometric.
Yeah.
So we've made tremendous progress. By the end of this year, God willing, the government has agreed to boost the capacity of NIA, provide more equipment so that we can establish more registration centers, do the work efficiently, and with all the lessons we have learned. We have finished the Volta region. It was a remarkable success. It was much, much, much better than the situation in Greater Accra. The people were organized in their communities, respectful of each other, no queue management issues of the type we saw, very self-respecting people in the Volta region. It was a very refreshing experience. We are hoping and then in the T region, we did very well. We are now going to begin in the northern region, in the Savannah region, and in Northeast region on the 4th of October 2019. We will then rapidly move on to the 2 upper regions, Bono East and Attefuah, and then get to Western North and Central in November, December, and then in December, do Ashanti and then Eastern region. We hope to finish by the end of this year because government is bringing in, we now have the 2,500 machines, which we needed to have started in April, but we didn't have, and we started with only 1,050. Now we have the 2,500. Now we are going to get 3,192 more machines. That would mean a strongly invigorated capacity to do our work. We will achieve this objective, and by the end of this year, most Ghanaians aged 15 and above, we're hoping that 80% of Ghanaians aged 15 and above would have had a biometric ID card. We will rapidly establish regional and district offices by January, February of next year, and those offices will go into our communities and schools and hospitals and register the younger Ghanaians under 15. Then we would have a society that is well documented, that is in accord with target 16.9 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which require every country to issue legal identity to all its citizens by 2030. We will achieve that by the end of within a year, because by this time next year at the latest, we would, with the capacity we now have, we would have registered the adult population and the children, and the banks would have absolutely no excuse. The Bank of Ghana will direct them appropriately. The telcos will be directed by the NCA appropriately, and they will all fall in line because that is what the law requires. And they will have to procure the appropriate data verification platforms, which will be in their interest. And they all agree on the criticality of this investment to their own efficient management of their industry, KYC, crime prevention, and all of that. And of course, shared efficient public administration. This will happen, and I'm hoping that by October, the beginnings of this will be in place, and the banks would be helping us to police society better.
So that answers your question, Amma from Jolu. You wanted to know where they are now and when you can go and register. But I'm getting a number of messages, Prof, from people who have gone to register, some from as far back as the 18th of May, and they have still not received their cards. In fact, someone just sent me a message. He says, I received the message last Friday that my card was ready, and I had to report to Ernest Bruce Methodist Church for pickup. I was there and there was no show. He says, I was also there on Saturday. Why are we facing these challenges?
Daniel, I'm very sorry to hear this. I don't know about it. I'm disappointed. We send text messages to people whose cards are ready. Daniel, in the Volta region, in most places, cards were printed instantly. If there was no data connectivity, in the evenings we'll print the card, as was our design plan, and we return the cards to the communities the next day or two, as the case may be, and issue them. There were, of course, pockets of difficulty here and there, but by and large, it was a resounding success. Now, in Greater Accra, because we started with limited capacity on all levels, not with human capacity, but equipment capacity, we had a huge backlog. Cards that were in backlog have been printed. Those that have been printed and are ready to be issued, we send messages to the applicants, informing them of location to go and have their cards issued to them. It is not every place a person registered that is an issuance center. And we did that also because we didn't have the capacity. Now we are going to invigorate it. This particular person who didn't have their thing, Daniel, if you can assist me, ask the person to get you their name and date of birth for me, and I'll check into their particular circumstance or situation. But if we have said that they should come for their card is ready, and I can find out if the card has, whatever administrative mishap, not been sent to the center. But from what he or she is saying, it appears that there was no show, as in we were not there. If that is the case, that will be extremely disappointing. But if for some reason his or her card was not at the center where she was, that is also an administrative mishap, and I will see to the correction of it. But thanks for sharing that information. We will do that. I want to assure the public that those whose cards are ready, we are burdened by the retention of thousands of cards. If the cards are not with people and are not being used by the people, it brings us no benefit or advantage whatsoever. It is a problem, and we want to solve that. We will ensure that everyone gets their card very quickly, because that is the only way it will be of benefit. We have tons of cards. That will be a problem. Storage is an issue, and of course, the very purpose why we produce the cards, they must have the cards, and we'll do that.
We'll send you those names, and I'll ask that listeners, if you have any specific concerns for the NIA as an organization, you can send in the message on 0244-340-437. Add the hashtag NIA to it when you're sending a WhatsApp message. 0244-340-437. We'll look for the hashtag in our WhatsApp. All the messages that come that have questions for Prof. Attefuah we'll forward the specific concerns to him. The general ones are what I put out now. But Prof, before you go, someone says, what happens to those who have their names wrongly spelled?
Yes. Thank you, Daniel. There are two issues here. When you register, we print a slip for you, and we ask you to verify the accuracy of the data captured on the slip, because that's what will appear on the form. A policeman associated with me once went to register, came home and showed me his card with pride. I asked for his slip. He showed the slip to me. And on the card, sex, boldly written on it, female. On the slip, which was given to him before the card was printed, and which he duly signed, his sex had been captured as female, and he had signed it. In such a case, number one, he will have to be reissued the card. Number two, at his cost. And number three, that will happen from next month, because the system design had anticipated that we will bring in the replacement devices or technology and issuance from the month of October. So I have people who have lost their cars, or whose cars have been stolen or whatever. Two very prominent people. One contacted me on Monday. Lost her card, her wallet was gone missing in Stockholm, Sweden, and she's back home and she needs her card. She's applied, but when you lose your card, you are required to. It is a passport. It is a document just like the passport. You are required to report it to the police and get a police extract of the incident. And then with it, you apply to NIA, you write to the Executive Secretary requesting for a replacement. Parliament is now passing a law on fees and charges. And one of the issues in that Fees and Charges Act will be the cost of replacement. Now, I suspect that it's going to be about 25 cedis or something like that. But it's subject to Parliament. And so, and that will not happen until October. So once that happens, then all those who have lost their cards and are seeking replacement will be able to get a replacement at whatever fee Parliament will prescribe. First issuance is free. Whenever you get your card the first time, it's free. But you will pay for it when you lose it or you damage it and you come for a replacement. And that will not happen until October. But I am asking people to verify the accuracy of the information as captured on the slip that is given to them in order to ensure that any corrections are made before the command is issued for the card to be printed.
Thank you very much, Professor Ken Attefuah.
Daniel, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity on both issues that we have discussed. Thank you very much, and may God bless.
So that quickly dovetailed into a conversation about the NIA. Really occasioned by you and the comments that you were sending in and the messages that you were sending in. As you know, is what you want to talk about that we want to talk about. But that was Prof. Ken Attefuah. He's a criminologist. He's also the executive director of the NIA. Earlier, we're speaking about the latest development with the Takrady girls issue. He began by stating clearly that there was a lack of verification, lack of transparency, and inconsistency in communication, and lack of official communication at a point when it comes to the handling of this particular investigation by the police. This led to a break in the trust on the side of the families. And so even though it may not be necessary looking at the fact that it's not based on any scientific or empirical basis, it will be necessary to actually have that test, that second DNA test, to satisfy the families. This, of course, was said earlier by Prof. Ajiman Bedua Kosa sometime last night on PM Express. Now, he also stated clearly that COP Mame Yatiwa Adodankwa, who is head of the CID of the Ghana Police, must resign before she's even sacked, if she will be sacked. Because of that, a communication that went on sometime in April 2019. 0244340437, 437. We're open to hear your comments. Tweet at us as well at Joy997FM. Go on our Facebook page, Joy99.7 FM, and leave us a message there. At Shady Genius says, it's not about doing DNA tests again. What happened to the pathologists we have in Ghana? They should be able to examine the bones, know how old these bones are, the gender et al. The DNA of a bone which was buried 20 years ago will match that of a 5-year-old. Hashtag Joy SMS. At Mr. Saint 54 says, well, there's broken trust in everything in Ghana. Now, simple Ghana card registration by an outfit headed by a respectable prof like you was botched. Imagine what will happen to a DNA test by an organization headed by someone who lied to the press that the girls were found. Hashtag Joy SMS. At Elvis_T_Y says, Daniel, the assemblyman shouldn't be imprisoned. He should be made to sweep his electoral area for 3 months. Hashtag Joy SMS. You're talking about the assemblyman for Jamestown. At KMP_J says, banks run a system which hasn't been updated to accept the Ghana card yet. The banks don't wake up one day and incorporate the acceptance of an identification card. A lot goes into it when updating their system without compromising the existing data. Give the banks time. Hashtag Joy SMS. At MK_HMC says, I don't think anyone wants her to resign because that will solve any issue, but because a lot of people think that her actions were inappropriate. These are human lives and you were playing chaskele with them, probably because they aren't among the rich and privileged. Are you looking for a 1, 2, or 3-seater and L-shaped sofa crafted to the finest details and available in various colors for your home, office, or hotels? Are you looking for comfortability, durability, quality, and perfect finishing? Look no further. Latex Foam is your one-stop shop destination. Whatever your choice, whatever your budget, Latex Foam, your partner for life. Send money to your family and friends for free on Ghana's most secure mobile money operator, Vodafone Cash. There's absolutely no charge when you send money from Vodafone Cash to Vodafone Cash. Just dial *110# to send money on Vodafone Cash today and enjoy this amazing offer. Vodafone Cash. Always safe, always secure. Vodafone, the future is exciting. Ready? GT Bank has partnered with Ghana Post to enable you request for a MasterCard or Visa debit card, and it will be delivered to your home or office anywhere in Ghana. Super cool, right? Just dial *737 *700#, select option 1, new or renew card, choose card type, enter your delivery address. That is your Ghana Post GPS code. Enter your PIN to offer or to confirm the request, and your card will be delivered to you by 5 p.m. the following day. Wow. To confirm receipt of the card, just dial *737 *700#, select option 2, confirm card delivery, enter your account number and PIN. Activate your card at any GT Bank ATM, use it for online and POS transactions, and get rewarded with amazing prizes and souvenirs. Enjoy endless possibilities with your GT Bank MasterCard and Visa cards. Order yours today by dialing *737 *700#. Guaranteed Trust Bank, wouldn't you rather? Heart still goes out to the families. It's 16 minutes to the top of the hour on the Super Morning Show. We're gonna forward all the requests that you made, all the questions that you have about the NIA system to Prof. Ken Attefuah and the authorities at the NIA. Do give us feedback whether or not they are addressed. Remember to add NIA to your requests when you're sending in the text messages, so that when we search for NIA, we can easily find your message and forward them. Coming up next is Dear Nanado, and this week we are telling the stories of the unemployed graduates of the School of Hygiene now doing menial jobs, including selling ice blocks to get by.
It depends on the quantity of the things, but sometimes 10 cedis, 20 cedis, 25. Yeah. If it goes higher, that means the person wants you to clean the whole house, like scrubbing, cleaning the windows, everywhere, mopping. Then they'll give you 50 or 60.
And that is a graduate of the School of Hygiene who now has to do laundry and house cleaning to get by. We'll hear his story in full when we come back.
In a world where everything is changing around you, sometimes you need to turn to someone